Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Hare 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 Rama Nam Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Krishna.
Hare Ram Ram Hare 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 Krishna.
Conference call. May I know who all are on the call today?
Hare Krishna, Priti Vilasni Mataji, Dandavat Pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. This is Vinita Gandharvika Devi Dasing from Texas. Nice to see you, Mataji. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Vinita Gandharvika Mataji.
On our class.
My humble obeisances, Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much for presence on the call. Krishna. Is there anyone else who would like to introduce themselves?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Sri Guru and Gauranga and all the assembled devotees. Yashomati from Chicago.
Hare Krishna, Yashomati Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Thank you so much, Mataji, for joining us and giving us your valuable association and for the wonderful chanting. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Let's like to introduce themselves.
Hare Krishna Mataji. This is Vanishri from Bangalore, India. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Nitai Gauranga. All glories to the assembled Vaishnavas and the Vaishnavis. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Vanishri Mataji. Please accept my humble obeisances. Jai Shri Prabhupada. Very happy to have you on the call. Welcome, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Anyone else would like to introduce themselves today? Hare Krishna. I welcome everyone to Bhakti Sangha Japa conference call. Thank you all so much for joining us in this mid-morning Caitanya Bhagavad session. Before I hand over the call to our esteemed speaker, I would like to read Srila Prabhupada's quote for today, 4th January. When one becomes Krishna conscious, he loves everyone. If you chant loudly Hare Krishna, even the ants and insects whose hearing will be delivered because it is spiritual vibration. Bombay, January 4th, 1973, by Srila Prabhupada. So thank you, dear devotees, for joining us today and giving us your most valuable association. Today's speaker is His Grace Haridas Varya Prabhu. Prabhuji, thank you so much for your valuable association. Prabhuji will be speaking from Sri Caitanya Bhagavat. This is Adi Khanda, chapter 15, 126 to 151. Thank you so much, Prabhu. You can now take over the call. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, very good. First and foremost, thank you very much, Mataji, for giving me an opportunity to speak on this wonderful subject matter. For all our Gaudiya Vaishnava devotees, the month of Kartik is generally very, very auspicious. But Krishna, in a very beautiful way, in Bhagavad Gita and also in Srimad Bhagavatam in the Uddhava Gita, he says, Masanam Margashisha. That means of the months, I am Margai or Margashish. So this is that month which is going on of the Margai, where the gopis sometimes mentioned immediately after the Kartik month, they did the Katyayani Vrata. And similarly, in the southern part of India, they celebrate a lot of Margai, Margashish. So any auspicious activity done during this month is considered very, very pious. So hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing Chaitanya Bhagavat, hearing the scriptures, or talking about the form, the attributes, the name of the Lord is considered very, very wonderful opportunity for a devotee to progress in devotional service. So I consider myself very fortunate, and I'm very much exhibiting my gratitude to everyone who is assembled on this call for giving me an opportunity to speak here so that I can purify myself. So before we start today's class, which is on Chaitanya Bhagavat, which I am going to share my screen so that everybody can see it. Let me know when you can see. We will start with text number 121. Yes. And we'll try to cover up to 151 or more. These are very small verses, but the beauty is that in every verse you can speak for hours and hours and hours. But let us try to churn the best of the meanings out of all of them. So before we start, I would like to pay my humble obeisances to the Acharyas, to the wonderful Guru Parampara, and pray at their divine lotus feet that they give the intelligence, the strength to speak, and the words in such a way that it pleases the hearts of devotees who are listening to this lecture. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamine Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschat Deshatharine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Nitkapatmaham Bande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna. So today we are going to read from Chaitanya Bhagavat, a very wonderful scripture. And in that, today we're going to read from text number 121. So as I said, this month is also known as the month of Margashish. So in the southern part of India, generally where I have grown up and also been a part of, there is a custom within the Sri Vaishnava tradition that they constantly sing about a song which is called as Tiruppavai. Now, this song is sung by none other than an Alvar who is known as, who is the only female Alvar, who is known as Goda Devi, or she's also known as Andal. You can see her picture behind me. And she's used to sing it for the Lord, Sri Krishna, whom she used to consider in her nearby temple in the village of Srivaliputtur. Why am I saying all this before I delve into Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime? Am I mixing up the rasas? No. The point that I'm trying to make here is that today we will be drawing a lot of parallels between these verses of Andal and also the verses that we see. Why are we doing that? We are doing that because generally in the month of Margai, these 30 verses that she sang in the verse book called as, in the verses called as Tiruppavai, is considered as the essence of all Vedas. And she is asking to be the wife, or she wants to follow a vrata, or she wants to follow a vow by which she wants to follow the Caitanya kind of vrata by which she can attain Krishna as her husband. So it's very much, not very clear, but then very much in parallel to what we are seeing today, where the marriage procession and ceremony is going on. So while we are talking about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's divine procession of how it happened and the divine marriage, how it happened in this 15th chapter, it is only befitting to see another parallel divine procession which happened in the southern part of India in a very Dasya kind of a sentiment and a mood. And again, she is none other than an incarnation of Bhudevi, that is Mother Earth. So she is also wanting the Lord as her husband. And here also the Lord is playing the part of husband as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu going towards Vishnupriya. So there are some parallels, there are not many, but we will try to see wherever we can pick up these verses and try to, it's a bold attempt by me, so kindly excuse me if it's not making much of a sense. Just trying to bring together two different Vaishnavites who glorify at this point of time in one through this class is to speak about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his glorious procession. At the same time, there is a divine procession which Andal takes towards the Lord. So without further ado, let's go through the verses and let's draw the comparisons when and where it is required. Text 121. Shri Raja Pandita Ati Chittera Ulase Sarva Vasva Nikshepa Kari Mahanande Bhase. As the Raja Pandita joyfully gave all his various possessions in charity, he floated in an ocean of bliss. Commentary. The phrase Sarvasva Nikshepakari means having spent all one's wealth, or by mentally offering Gaurasundara the hand of his daughter Vishnupriya Devi, who meant everything to him and who was dearer to him than his own life. So very wonderful verse where the Lord is getting the hand of Vishnupriya. And the Raja Pandita is actually giving all his various possessions in charity. So we see, and we see in the subsequent verses, that giving charity is one of the key elements in a human being's life, in a devotee's life. And this charity should be given abundantly in one's own life. What happens when we give charity? When we give charity, the ego within our heart and the devotion within our heart grows. But before we speak about charity, here he is giving away his daughter, Vishnupriya. Gaurasundara, the hand of his daughter, Vishnupriya Devi. That is why in the scriptures it's called as Kanya Dan. Kanya Dan means giving a daughter in charity. Now this is considered as one of the greatest dans. This is considered as one of the greatest opportunities. How? Because there are two types of words in the Shastras. One is called Dan, the other is called Bhiksha. And these two are very technically different. Dan means charity, which is given by a person as per his or her affluence to a person who is supposed to receive at a proper place, at a proper time, using proper instruments. And this is as per one's affluence. This is to be given. So the perfect person is receiving it, the perfect time to give, and it is given in a very nice way. So this is Dan. So like in a marriage ceremony, the situation or the time, the muhurta is found out, the apt bridegroom is found out, and the father of the bride gives his daughter to the bridegroom. So this is called Kanyadan. Whereas when you say Bhiksha, it is technically in English called as alms. So this is given out of pity or to ensure that the necessities of a particular ashram, like a brahmachari ashram or sannyasi's ashram, is taken care of. So bhiksha is a lot of pity, daya is involved in it, and also there is a sense of duty. Dan is as per one's affluence. A bhiksha can be anything, but charity needs to be of a certain affluence, should be kept in mind. So that's why when Vamandev came to Bali Maharaj, he asked for dhan. But he himself thought, I am a brahmachari. In fact, he had to do a lot of drama to become a brahmachari. When he appeared as Vamandev, we all know that Lord Vishnu has a silver hair on his chest. And who is that? Lakshmi. She always sits on the chest of the Lord. You cannot say that I need to take a selfie with the Lord. So Lakshmi, please get down. I want to take only with Narayan. That is not possible. The Lord will always come with Lakshmi. But here Vamandev was going to play the role of a brahmachari who was going to ask for bhiksha, who was going to ask for the 3 steps of land. So everybody thought, if everybody sees this one silver hair which is there on the chest of the Lord, then he will be caught. His lie will be caught that he is a brahmachari because he is a grihastha. They will see that Lakshmi is on his chest, sitting in his heart. So then Bhumi Devi, who is none other than the other consort of the Lord, she immediately came and gave a gift, gave a dhan, gave a charity, gave a bhiksha. And what was that gift? A deer skin. She said, put the deer skin over your chest so that Lakshmi is completely hidden under your deer skin. So that way, you are still a grihastha, but your acting phenomenon of becoming a brahmachari is taken care of. So this very wonderful alms and giving bhiksha, giving charity is seen in Vamandev's pastime. And before he goes to ask for dhan or bhiksha, he is given so many gifts by various demigods. So one should read that chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam. By reading that chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam, we get to learn that what are the 2 conditions of how we should give charity. The 2 conditions by which we should give charity is condition number 1. One rule that we should follow while giving charity is we should never be egoistic. While giving charity, we should not be egoistic of the gift that we are giving in charity, that, I gave so much amount of wealth, or I gave so much worth of money, or I gave so much worth of a product which was of use. This temple is constructed by me. This auditorium contribution was given by me. This TOVP contribution for this altar has been given by me. This me and mine, egoistic and possessiveness should not be there while we give charity. So this is one very fundamental rule that one has to take care. But do you know, my dear devotees, for devotees as they practice in Krishna consciousness, this is very easy to give it up away. Or at least they come to a position that after certain amount of practice of being in the movement, me and mine kind of reduces. They feel, okay, I am not the giver. At least by lip service, they keep on saying this, and then it becomes a character in themselves that they feel from their heart, you know what, I'm not giving. Whatever is possible, I'm giving. Whatever is possible, whatever Krishna has given wealth, I am able to give. In this way, they start thinking. So this is very nice, but this is just the first step. The Shastras mention there are two things in this fundamental rule that we have to add as we start to progress in charity. When we give our Lakshmi, our time, our effort, our physical strength, etc., as a part of service or as charity or as part of service, we definitely should not think that this is me and mine. Neither we should think about the usefulness of us in their life. Now, this is a very subtle concept. Many times, the gross things we say, this is not mine, this is given by Krishna. But sometimes subtly we believe, if I was not there, I could have not become the instrument to give. Now, this is subtle. The gross, I hope you're understanding, the gross product of whatever we are going to give to the person who is a receptor, that can be kept aside. But this subtle concept of I am the conduit, I am the catalyst that who is giving this, whatever has been bestowed by the Lord, even that he needs to be removed from the heart. So one has to feel grateful that Krishna has made me the conduit. One has to feel grateful that Krishna has given something in our hands. One has to feel grateful that the person has come and asked them. One has to feel grateful towards the Lord that we have got the physical limbs or upaya or the means to give. And one has to feel grateful that the person accepted it. So none of these activities are belonging to us. So this is the real renunciation of me and mine. And when a person performs this charity with this first fundamental rule, there are two rules. Principally, there are many rules, but principally in the subtle concept, there are two fundamental rules. The first is to think, not have egoistic tendency to say, we are the ones who is giving charity. And the second is for us to think, we are not the real useful conduit or catalyst for enablement of this charity. So this is the first fundamental rule that one has to understand. So even in Kanyadan, right, one has to see that one is giving this daughter to the bride or the groom, to the bridegroom, to the groom, the groom's family, thinking that Lord has decided that my daughter, in fact, it's not my daughter, the Lord has given the daughter for me to take care. And it is His divine will that this marriage is being conducted. And in this way, the father can have very nice consciousness while performing Kanyadan. The second rule is more important than the first rule of charity. And what is the second rule? First is to be grateful, and the second rule is to be very morose and sorrow. You might be thinking, why is this contradictory? What should we be morose about? Doesn't that make it into tamogun? Doesn't that make it into sorrow? The feeling of being sorrow or having a morose feeling in the heart is not for the material possessions that is going from our hand. Krishna's devotees mention that the feeling of disappointment, the feeling of sorrow, the feeling of being morose while performing charity should be that I am unable to serve completely to the person who is asking from me. This is the notion of a devotee, that inwardly they should be sorry that they could not do more things for this person. What we are giving is very limited. I wish I could have given more. I wish I, by Krishna's grace, could have collected more and given more. So when we give for a TOVP donation or when we give for a temple donation, we might be giving a very little amount for building that temple. But we should feel sorry that when a temple president, when a brahmachari or somebody comes to ask for donation, I should have actually given my whole life for this temple, but I'm unable to give. This, at least the feeling should be nurtured in the heart. So this is very, very essential in charity. And this Raj Pandita joyfully gave all his various positions in charity, performed Kanyadan in this fashion. And whom did he give? He gave Vishnu Priya, who is none other than the mother of all opulences. Even she is being given in charity. Now, a question will come. If we see in Ramayana, we will see in a very nice way, a straight opposite behavior is shown by Janak Maharaj. And Lord Ramchandra broke the bow and he was standing there. He broke the bow because he was told to see the bow by Vishwamitra. When he went near the bow, he saw it and he asked with his eyes, "Shall I pick it up?" Vishwamitra says, "Please go ahead." Immediately picked it up, tried to string it, and it broke into two pieces. And when it broke into two pieces, a loud sound came from it. It reverberated across the universe. And immediately Janaka was so happy, he jumped up from his seat. With his eyes, he indicated Mother Sita to bring the garland. And she was walking close and bringing the garland to put it on Ramchandra. Ramchandra said, "Stop." And everybody was surprised. Very difficult process was undertaken. And such huge process was undertaken to win over the hand, and the bow was broken. And here is Mother Sita being stopped in her way to put the garland. And when they asked, Ramchandra said, "Look, my spiritual master did not give me the permission. My father had mentioned that please go behind your spiritual master. And I am following my spiritual master. And my spiritual master, Vishwamitra, the revered sage, he told me, go Pashyatam Dhanush." He said that please go and see the bow. And I saw. Then he said, pick it up and see it properly. So I picked it up and saw it properly, and the bow broke in two pieces. There was no contracts about marriage. There was no mention by across marriage. So don't bring me garlands and all. I have come to inspect the bow. I inspected it. It was a very old bow and it broke into two pieces. Maybe it was broken before itself. So no marriage and all are there in the contract. Vishwamitra came running from there. He said, Rama, I didn't say, you please accept it. So Rama said, okay, you tell me, so then I will accept. So as per the spiritual master, he accepted. So while accepting, Janaka Maharaj is saying a very beautiful shloka. And what is the beautiful shloka he's saying? He's doing almost like a Kanyadan. And the beautiful shloka that he's saying is, he's saying, Iham Sita Mama Sutta Saha Dharmacharini Iva. He's saying a very, very beautiful shloka. He's saying, yes, Iham Sita Mama Sutta Saha Dharmachari Tava Pratichainam Badram Te Panim Grihnishwa Panina. Now you might be wondering, what is this shloka? In this shloka, Janaka is doing opposite to the charity we just spoke about right now. What is the charity he is doing? He is saying that, Krishna, sorry, he is saying, oh Ramchandra, please pick up the garland. Please accept my daughter Sita's garland. This is how he should say. But this is not how he is saying. What he is saying is, in a very wonderful way, and I will try to bring that part. Just give me a second. I am unable to. There's a little bit of lag here. Just give me a second. Are you able to hear me, or are you able to hear? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay. So he's saying in a very wonderful way that Iyam Sita Mamasuta Sahadharmachari Iva. He's saying, do you know that this girl who is my daughter, Sita, generally, which father actually mentions it like that? He actually should mention that my daughter, Sita, is here. Please accept the garland. But he doesn't say it like that. He says, this Sita, who is my daughter? Now, this is very interesting for us to understand why he says it like that. Because the Acharyas give more than 108 meanings on the first two words. Of course, we don't have time to speak about the 108 meanings of the two words, Iyam and Sita. But let's look at the Kanyadan that's happening and let's try to talk about a little bit of parallels that's happening out there. What is being mentioned? It's being mentioned that Iyam Sita, saying, this daughter, this Sita is my daughter. Why? Because Lord Ramchandra, when he broke the bow, it is said that there were a lot of emeralds and rubies which were inscribed in the pillars of Mithila. And when this girl, this beautiful girl, Mother Lakshmi, just walked in, her reflections were seen in many, many rubies and emeralds and lapis lazulis. So at that moment, he was seeing millions and millions and millions of Mother Sita. And he was getting confused. Where is this girl? Where is she? So Janaka tapped, said, oh, you're looking for Sita, this Sita, who is here. And by the way, she is my daughter. So this is one camera is capturing Lord Rama's astute moment of bewilderment of seeing who is this beautiful girl. At the same time, he's saying that Rama was looking for somebody who is matching his beauty, right? And everybody was looking at Lord Ramchandra. He was very, very beautiful. But Janak Maharaj said, oh, you think you're beautiful? Please have a look at this Jagan Mata, who is the mother of entire beauty. Please do have a look at her. She's beautiful too. Iyam Sita Mamasuta. And by the way, she is my daughter. So in this way, he is saying she's equal to your beauty, right? And she said, by the way, you were born from Mother Kaushalya, but she is more beautiful because she's Ayanija. She was not born out of any womb. She's the mother of all the mothers. So Iyam Sita. So she's very special, Rama. So if you think you're very special because you've broken the bow, she is more special because she is the one who is not born out of any womb, right? You still have Kaushalya as your mata, but for me, I found her in the furrow, in the fields. And he says very clearly that just like a farmer, he finds his Sita, his furrow, as a success. So as a farmer finds his success as a furrow, similarly, you will find your success only when you accept her. So Iyam Sita Mamasuta. So this is your success going forward. Don't think that breaking the bow got you success because she was here. That's why that brought you success. Otherwise, why would you be here? So this beautiful narration of just one verse, Valmiki is writing, and he's actually placing this shloka to Lava and Kusha and saying, go and spread it out. So one can get to see why the Raja Pandita is very happy in this verse, because he is doing a similar kind of Kanyadan, giving Vishnupriya Devi to Sachi Mata. If we can draw parallels from his previous avatars. It's not a forced construct that we are trying to bring Ramayana into a Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime, but these are the pastimes of the Lord in various different incarnations. Text 122, Sarva Vidhi Kama Kari Sri Gaura Sundara Vasilena Khanika Haya Avasara. So after all of that, Sri Gaura Sundara sat down, he relaxed for a while, and then he satisfied all the brahmanas with foodstuffs and cloth. So this is also seen that very nicely. He is also engaged in giving very, very nice items in charity. So just like Kanyadan was performed, this charity is also performed. And what did he give? The Lord respectfully gave everyone charity according to their qualification. So as I said, charity is given as per the affluence, as per the person. So here that verse is being mentioned. Ye matra patra yara yogya yena dana. Yara yogya yena dana. As they are yogyavan, as they are capable, and as per their affluence, he gives charity to many of them. Okay, charity was given. And then what happens? What is the ultimate benefit of charity? We get blessings. All the Brahmanas affectionately blessed Vishwambara and went inside his house to eat. One of the greatest charity should be followed with prasads. So charity is there for taking care of their needs, but one of the basic needs is to have prasad, Krishna prasad. So that is why even if anybody knocks on our door, be it a plumber, be it a carpenter, be it somebody who comes to our door, of course, many of them, we don't make them enter the house. We just settle the matters outside. But they are also considered as guests. They're coming there for a purpose. They have knocked the doors. So it is there generally said that we should have at least small packets of at least raisins. We should keep 2-3 raisins and just give it to them. Thank you for visiting my house. And that should be prasad. Nobody will say no to prasad. So food should be given even to strangers who visit our door. Can be a simple guy who is visiting us and giving us a parcel. Can be an Amazon courier delivery guy. But everybody is knocking the door. A grahastha dharma is anybody who knocks the door should not go empty-handed. They should be given nice words. They should be given water. They should be given place to sit. But practically, if we see, there are so many people who visit our houses and they might not have a realistic purpose to have a conversation with us, but they should also be honored. This modern day system of deliveries, this modern day system of people visiting houses, dropping the essential goods at the door and going away, this is very impersonal in nature. In the previous times, it was never there. And that is what we see in one of the parallels in this Margai month, which we see in Andal. What she does is she goes to each and every house. She knocks on the door and requests them to come out for Mangalarti. And all these are her friends who are sleeping inside their house, inside their chambers. And she's singing very beautiful verses to wake them up. So on one layer, we see people are doing activities to wake up. And Andal is doing this activity to knock on each door and telling them, why don't you sing about the Lord? Why don't you glorify the Lord? Please come with me. So one should do grateful services to other devotees, to other jivas. And what to speak about Brahmanas? Krishna is Go Brahmana Hitayacha. He favors the Brahmanas a lot. And when the Brahmanas eat, Krishna eats. And this is the understanding from the Vedic Shastras. So they all went inside and they had a very presumptuous meal. And when the afternoon came, they started to dress the Lord. And now Vrindavan Das Thakur will talk about the beautiful limbs of the Lord. The Lord's beautiful limbs were smeared with sandalwood pulp in which aguru had been mixed. Aguru is a kind of fragrance. It's very, very rare nowadays. You get a certain kind of a wood in the Malaysian jungles and also in the Cambodian and the Peruvian jungles, where this tree is grown and its bark is allowed to get into a fungus-infested state. And when that fungus comes in the tree, then the tree creates a natural sap to combat that fungus or that pest. And then this aguru layer is formed. So they cut the tree, and this natural secretion by the tree, which is produced to combat the fungus which is growing in the tree, creates the aguru. Very few trees are left in the world. And when they get this bark, and then they smear a little bit of powder, and when they burn it with coal, it gives a very, very fragrant smell. In fact, they say that the Vaikuntha always smells of aguru, which is smeared on the body of the lotus feet of the Lord and on the body of the Lord. So here also the Lord's beautiful limbs were mixed with sandalwood pulp, were smeared with sandalwood pulp, and in that aguru was mixed. How were the Lord's limbs? That is being mentioned. That his forehead was smeared with sandalwood paste in the shape of half moon, and an enchanting tilak was drawn through it with aguru. So Vrindavan Das Thakur, in fact, wrote a song while he's beautifully talking about the beautiful limbs of the Lord. He's the same devotee who wrote the beautiful prayer, who wrote the song, Janulambita Bahu Jugala Kanala Putali Deha Arunambara Shobita Kalevara Upamadeyabaka Janulambita. Janulambita. How long were his arms? His arms used to extend up to his knees. Gaurasundara was so beautiful. Even Lord Ramchandra is mentioned, his arms were extending up to his knees. And how he looks? Kanala Putali Deha. He looks like a golden doll. He's so beautiful to look at. Aruna Ambara Shobita Kalevara. His form is adorned with a cloth that has the color of Aruna Ambara, just like a rising sun. When the sun rises, it is called as Arunodaya. Because who is Aruna? Aruna is the charioteer of the sun. He's a handicapped driver. So when before a vehicle comes near, first we see is the driver, then we see the passenger, or then we see the owner of the car. So first, before the sun rises, we see none other than Aruna. And this is also spoken by Andal, because we are drawing parallels today. So Andal, in one of her Pasurams means shlokas, she speaks very wonderfully about trying to wake up a girl who is sleeping inside the quarters. And she tries to wake them up by saying, "Hey girl who is sleeping inside the cottage, why don't you wake up? It is already dawn. It's already daylight." So in one of the 8th Pasurams of the Rupavais, she says, Kilvanam Vellendre Erumai Suriveedu Meivan Parandanagan Mikkulla Pillaigalum. In chaste Tamil, she says, can't you see? The day has come out. Just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Udilo Aruna Pura Babhage. Aruna. Can't you see? Kilvanam Vellendre. So she's saying that, haven't you seen the horizon has become white in color? Now you might say, wait a minute. You just said about the crimson colored Arunodaya. Now why is Andal speaking about white in color? Because before the crimson colored dazzling rays of the sun come in, there is always a whiteness that gets created 30 minutes before the sunrise. So she's talking about the Brahma Murta. She's saying, hey girl, have you not seen the whiteness that has come on the horizon sky? There's a white layer. The skies have become white. And these buffaloes, they have gone to their little houses to go and graze upon the fresh grass. Why are you still sleeping? But the girl inside is just like us, who doesn't want to wake up. She gives very beautiful poetic answers back. She says, you know what, Andal? I don't think so. The day has come up. She says, no, I'm seeing the sun is going to rise up. He says, no. In fact, you all have come knocking on my doors and you all look like very beautiful moon-like faces. So all your moon-like faces, when you are looking in the east, thinking that the sun is going to come, the moonlight is reflecting on moon-like faces of yours and it's reflecting on the cloud. And hence you feel that the sun is going to rise up. But this is too much. This is to say that the girls were so radiant, resplendent in their beauty that the moonlight was getting reflected from their face onto the sky, and it was presumably seen as if it was daylight. And then she said, no, but you see the buffaloes, they have also come out. Generally, the buffaloes get more hungry in the morning than the cows. So they generally go out as their morning pre-breakfast. They will go and find out the dewy grasses and they'll start to chew. The cow never does that. The cow will wait for the owner to give them the grass. But the buffalo is not like that. It will try to satisfy its tongue. It will go out. So she's saying, look at the buffaloes. And this girl inside is saying, no, I don't think so. They are the buffaloes. So why? He said, because you all girls are seeing towards the eastern horizon. And you all are like moon-like faces, and that's getting reflected on the sky and it is becoming white. So towards the west, your tresses are seen, your braids are seen, and your braids are so black in color. That is getting reflected on the clouds, and they are moving slowly. So the clouds have become black, and that seems to you like buffalo. So this is how the conversation is going on. So why I said this was to say the scriptures always mention about Arunodaya or the Brahma Muhurta time. And here in the verse it is mentioned that Ajanulambita Bahu Yugala Kanala Putali Deha Aruna Ambara Shobita Kalevara. So you can just imagine the cloth that Gaur Sundara is wearing is of the color of the rising sun. And how is this beauty? Upama Deyaba Kaha. In fact, I'm giving so many analogies of a rising sun. And Vrindavan Das Thakur says, you cannot give any comparisons. Stop giving comparisons. They are simply not possible. So he says this beautifully, and such were his limbs. And they were smeared with sandalwood pulp, and they were given tilak. And he wore a wonderful crown on his head. And on the crown, he had flower garlands covered on his body. And I would like to show you how the Lord looks when he has various different flower garlands. In fact, one of the most important things that he has on his crown is the Tulsi garland. He constantly has Tulsi garland on his crown. And I would like to showcase that picture to you. And it looks very beautiful. And that also, Andal sings it in her 10th Pasuram. So if you actually see this picture of how the Lord is sitting, and on his crown, you always have the Tulsi garlands, which is bedecked on his garland. So she's saying, why don't we go and pray about the Lord who has on his crown the beautiful Tulsi garlands? And if you actually see, Krishna always wears, this is very unique. We do not see Krishna in this fashion. He always will wear such a very unique Tulsi garland, and he will wear Vanamali Murali Dhari. He always wears these garlands. And here Gaur Sundar is doing the same thing. Here also you can see Krishna wearing beautiful, wonderful Tulsi garlands on his crown. So this is what Vrindavan Das Thakur is saying, that the Lord had beautiful garlands and he had the flowers which were bedecked on his crown. And he wore fine yellow cloth, and those cloth were tucked in, and he had very beautiful eyes. They were decorated with kajal. So the personal beauty of the Lord is being mentioned here. And there was dhruva grass which was tied around his right wrist. And look at what he says. He held a mirror and a fresh banana leaf. One might be thinking, everything is okay. Okay, he was given garlands and everything. Why are you giving a mirror? You don't see somebody who is holding a mirror, or sometimes they give a fan, right? Sometimes they give a fan, sometimes they give a mirror. These are the rituals which are there in Smritis or in Vedic. Why do they give a mirror? It's said in the Shastras that people give a fan or a hand fan, which they can use, because a hand fan kind of dries away any sweat. When you wear all these things, it drives away the sweat and gives you relief. But that is the meaning on the outer layer. On the physical layer, if you see the fan, the hand fan kind of gives you respite from the sweat, from the tiredness, from the humid, arid place that one might be traveling in, and it drives away the sweat. But the real meaning is to say the fan is given to remove this dirt of me and mine. So it is to waft away the egoism and the possessiveness. And where do we learn that? Again, we learn that in today's Pasuk. In fact, today is the 20th day of Margashish. And in the 20th day of Margashish, we actually learn this particular shloka where Andal also says, you know what, Krishna, you should be giving, you should be giving us the fan and the mirror. And it's very wonderful that today we are talking about these two, and today is the day when she speaks about these two wonderful items to be given as gift. She says in Tamil, Ukkamum tattoliyum tandum mannalanai. She says, please give me a fan and a mirror. And people ask her, why are you asking for a fan and a mirror? Because the fan waft away the possessiveness and the egoism which is residing in one's heart. And what about the mirror? The mirror helps you to self-introspect. So while the fan is to remove the me and the mine, the mirror is to see the real self. That is, we are spirit souls. We are part and parcel of Krishna. So this is the charity that we are supposed to give. And people give this fan and mirror to others to say, please give this to others. That means give the knowledge about Krishna to others. This is the real charity. And this is what Krishna says. Those who spread my message are to be known as most favorite to me. So in this way, they gave all these items to the Lord. And Shruti Mule Dole, that means the ears through which one hears Krishna Katha, the ears which are seen as the sacrificial pit, where the spoon is none other than the tongue, which feeds into the sacrificial pit, the ghee, which is none other than the holy name, to light up the fire, which is bhakti in the heart. Those are the ears, the yajna, the sacrificial pit. In those were hanging very beautiful gold earrings. And his arms were decorated with various jeweled armlets. So beautiful narration of Krishna, of Gaura Sundara's bodily features are being mentioned. And everyone joyfully decorated the Lord's limbs with appropriate items. So it was not a one person's effort. And this pastime we can see in many, many places. Like Yashoda also used to take personal care in decorating the Lord's limbs, right? And each part of the Lord's limbs will be very minutely observed by the acharyas. In fact, the gopis also know each and every limb of the Lord. In one of the kavyas that Rupa Goswami writes, he writes about the Keshi demon. The Keshi demon, when he attacked, Lord Krishna gave his full hand inside the mouth of Keshi demon. And Keshi gave a nice bite on the arms of the Lord. And Rupa Goswami says that the gopis say it formed a tattoo. It formed a very deep marked tattoo on the Lord's arms. The gopis say that markings are still there in Krishna's hand. And we just wish to see that up close and personal when he embraces us. So that means everybody is noticing Krishna's each and every single limb. And that tattoo, when we go to Golok, we should see that tattoo in Krishna's arms still. That was bitten by Keshi. But here, all those limbs were beautifully decorated, and the Lord and everybody joined in this transcendental divine procession, and they all assembled and they forgot. They were so overwhelmed that they forgot about their activity. And when it became mid-afternoon, they all said that let us start on this journey, and they started parading. They started going from one place to another into the streets of Navadip so that they could arrive at the bride's house at dusk. And at that time, when the Lord was traveling through these streets, Buddhimanta Khan brought an exquisite palanquin for the Lord. And he kept it in the front. Back in the days, palanquin was used, and it was a very nice way to travel from one place to another. And there were various musical instruments which were playing on the way, and this is seen as a sign of auspiciousness. And they chanted various different auspicious Vedic mantras, and we see such kind of welcome also given to Krishna in Dwarka. So we should draw these parallels when we read that how the Lord is being welcomed at different places, how the Lord is welcomed in Ayodhya when he came back, how the lamps and the streets were lit up, how he was welcomed in Hastinapur, how he was welcomed back in Dwarka, what was the joyful scenes which were there. These are not mere background stories. This gives us a glimpse. In fact, Prabhupada's disciples have drawn pictures which enable us to deeply contemplate that mood, that scene, which is directly from the spiritual sky. And Vrindavan Das Thakur gives detailed narrations that there were people who were professional blessers. They will bless. Professionally, they will give Ashurvada. And they started to recite various prayers. And the whole scene appeared as if there was bliss personified who was advented at that place. So this is where very small verses, but this gives you a very good background of what was happening. So quickly going through the last 10. And when Lord Gaurasundara wanted to start, he circumambulated his mother and offered obeisances to the Brahmanas. This is the culture that one should respect the elders. Even in Andal, she says, in the first 5 pasurams, because it's the Margai month we are comparing again, she says that we will not do anything, oh my friends, while keeping this vrata, we will not do anything that our elders have not done. We will follow in the footsteps of the devotees. So similarly here, Gaurasundara is setting an example that how mother is very important. And he is setting this example of following in the footsteps of the elders, following the customary rules, offering obeisances unto the Brahmanas. And as soon as he got into the palanquin, it was a moment of joy, where everybody started shouting, Jai, Jai, and it was heard in all directions. Women, they were forming rows, and they started saying the Ulu Dwani. The boys, they do Haribol chant, and the girls, they do Ulu Dwani. Even today, we can see in Mayapur that this Ulu Dwani and many others, many women, many Bengali women, they do this Ulu Dwani, which is to cast away all the inauspiciousness which is out there. And hence they proceeded to Mother Ganges, where the half moon was seen overhead. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur writes that sometimes Ardha Chandra is also written as Purna Chandra. But when it is Purna Chandra, the moon is in the eastern horizon. But here it is saying that Ardha Chandra dekhilena sirera upare. Sirera upare. That means it was seen on top of the head. That means we cannot use the word Purna Chandra. We can use only Ardha Chandra. So that means the time was of half moon, and those positions are being mentioned. And how were the streets? They were lit up with lamps. Various fireworks were set off, and it was a grand gala divine procession which was going on, which was led by Buddhimanta Khan's infantry. Lot of city tax collectors were following that parade, and then people were carrying festoons and colored flags, and then there were jesters who were juggling. There were people who were there to kind of engage the audience who were following that procession, and they were wearing various costumes. So it is not that Krishna conscious is always serious. There are festive occasions. There are the Lord showing that one has to enjoy as he moves into the Grihastha life. One has to take pleasure. This is a very good learning that we learn, that sometimes as devotees, during certain events, we should let the guard down and enjoy the spirit. We should dance in the pleasure for the Lord, for the pleasure of the devotees. Seeing other devotees, we should dance. It's not that, okay, of course, we don't need to engage in material activities, but for spiritual activities, in a spiritual way, we should be blissful. And the Lord is showing the way of a perfect devotee. And in this way, he followed by a groups of dancers. They all danced jubilantly. And when they danced, There are some people who are always in the dancing party who are always reserved. Generally, people who are very educated, they are reserved. But here, what happened? Right? While millions of children danced along with the music, the Lord watched and smiled, and there were many musical instruments which were being played: kettle drums, snare drums, conch shells, flutes, kartals, horns. Every different musical instrument was wonderfully played. And while they were being played, many children were dancing. The Lord watched all of them, showered his lovely glance to all of them. And it is said that even people who were learned scholars gave up their inhibitions and they danced beautifully. So, such a beautiful parade was going down Navadvip, and such a parade of people were going towards their destination. And just imagining this narration, having the scene played in the theater of our hearts, we can get the purity of how beautiful Gaurasundara was. We can understand how beautiful our previous acharyas were, who were kind enough to write about such narrations and give it to us, to give us a glimpse of that street, give us a glimpse of that Navadvip, give us a glimpse of that of Lord's activities, give us a glimpse of the educational tenets that the Lord is showing by his activities. We are supposed to follow in the footsteps of his instructions of finding a proper spiritual master and finding the scriptures as written by acharyas through their purports, reading them, trying and begging for his mercy to understand more about his nature, form, attributes, so that one day we can also come close to these pastimes. We also, by the mercy of our spiritual masters, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, are able to witness this divine procession. If only we have a wish that out of the millions which is being said here, millions of children danced, millions. If we can be at a million mile away, watching this millions of children dancing, and if we are a million mile away, we are watching the dust which is rising from this divine procession. And if we can see that dust which is rising up into the tumultuous sky as the sound is being played from the musical kettle drums, our life is successful. That would be such a wonderful event, just to be in the association of the dust which is rising up from this procession. With that thought, with that glorious Vrindavan Das Thakur's narration, I would like to end my words here. I hope it was a rough comparison between many pastimes, but it's a very straightforward pastimes, but many hidden meanings that one can think of. But it's a very wonderful chapter, how the Lord's divine procession came through the streets. Thank you very much for your kind attention and hearing. If there are any questions, comments, more than happy to address them. If there are any mistakes, if there are any feedbacks, more than happy to hear them and try to correct them, so that it's for the pleasure of the devotees who are assembled here. Yadastras kalitam kinchit vidvam sat purayam sutat yadastat saustvam kinchit tad guru reva menahe. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Caitanya Bhagavat ki jai. If there are any questions, comments, we can discuss. Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhu, thank you so much
Yeah.
for such a nice class. I really like the comparison with Andal and also the Ramayana, Sita Devi's Janaka Maharaj presenting Sita to Lord Ram. So thank you so much. It was very, very meditative. I especially love the last thing that you said, that let us just absorb our thoughts on the dust that is raised from the very beautiful procession. So thank you for that too. Very nice class, Prabhu. Thank you for this. I don't have any questions. It was very nice. Devotees, if you all have any questions, comments, or realizations, please feel free to raise your hand.
Okay. I don't think anybody has any questions.
I think everyone is missed, right? Yes, Dhanashri.
You have not left any questions with us. Thank you so much. It was a beautiful lecture.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, and our pranams. It was a very wonderful class, as Preeti Mataji said, with the comparisons with Sitaram and Andal. So it's very nice to hear the parallels which you gave through Tirupavai and Chaitanya Bhagavat. Thank you for the attempt, Prabhuji. So, and one question is, Andal is known as Andal Nachiyar, right?
Yeah.
Why she is called as Nachiyar?
So she is Nachiyar in the Tamil language means she is actually a consort. So she is an incarnation of Bhudevi, that is the Mother Earth. So she's been an eternal consort when he came as Varahadev as well. So that's why she's called as Nachiyar.
Okay. So it means the eternal concept. That's the meaning,
Yeah,
right?
in a way, yes. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
So the glory about her is that she had this wonderful sight in front of her, and she was born in Srivalliputtur. I mean, she was also found, just like Mother Sita, she was found in the Tulsi groves by her father Vishnu Chitta, and she considered Srivalliputtur as none other than Vrindavan, and she considered the Vadapatrashai temple as where the Lord is lying down in a Billapatra. So she considered him non-different to be as Krishna, which he was. And she was trying to go and wake up her friends, whom she thought were senior gopis, and she wanted to follow in their footsteps and become and wanted to get Krishna as her husband. So there are very, 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 very beautiful realizations, but her realizations are so deep that for each sampradaya you can take those meanings. So if you are in the Sri Vaishnava sampradaya, you can take the meanings from a Dasya plane. But there are times where she's very secretive. She crosses those planes and she wants to be in the footsteps of the gopis and asking for Krishna Prem. You can actually see that as well, but it's kept as in the wraps as Sampradaya Rahasya in the Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya. It's not opened up for everyone to come and drink it very freely. And the Goswamis have not written about them because they have written so explicit amount of literature that they didn't want to go into a literature where it's mix and match. It's very pure, but there are very wonderful tenets of she showcasing the want of leaving that opulence and becoming just following in the footsteps of gopis. So this is very wonderfully seen, but then one has to pick up the commentaries, and unfortunately there are not many Gaudiya commentaries on such a wonderful literature. So it's very difficult to find, but one has to have a keen eye to find and thread through those meanings. But yes, that's why she had that, being an eternal consort as Nachiyar, she had that capability. She had the capability to see through such wonderful meanings.
Thank you so much for very.
Yeah, I was also thinking, Prabhu, if I can.
Yeah.
Which, when you were talking about Iyam Sita Mama Sutta Dharmacharita, that verse, Janaka Maharaj is known for not having any ahankara mamakara, but he Mama Sutta, she's
Mama
my
Sutta.
Yeah. So we can imagine how glorious she is.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's very glorious, and he takes proud in saying that I found her. And so this is spiritual pride. And then he's so, and in that there's a lot of gratitude, and there's a lot of feeling of great happiness and bliss. And so Lord Ramchandra is happy to hear those words. It was not about whom I have in my possession. In fact, one of the meanings of that EMC, where Janak Maharaj says that, hey, here you go. She was always yours. Now I am giving you back to her, back to you. So it's like, she's not my possession. So that's the pure charity. It was never my possession. Here you go. She's back to you. Because some of the acharyas, they mention when Rama is walking through the Mithila, and he's seeing this girl on top of the rafters, and he's thinking, I have seen this girl somewhere. Seems like in my previous years, she has surrendered some kind of service to me. So in this like way, and then here Janaka is saying, you know what? She's been always serving you. Now you go in this life as well. Go ahead, in this avatar as well. So these are very wonderful ways of how the acharyas have given us these commentaries. They have to be really glorified. Without them, we are blind, walking in a place where we cannot even walk 2 steps.
Thank you. Yeah, there are some chat messages as well. Any questions? Just some notes of gratitude.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Very
Prabhu.
nice to hear.
Dandavat pranam.
Real
Please
session,
accept my
Mataji.
humble obeisances. All
Dandavat.
glory to Srila Prabhupada. Prabhuji, you compare very nicely about Mahaprabhu's wedding with Srimati Vishnupriya Devi, and you just compare the Andal pastime and the Sita Mata's pastime, and you talk about the donation, my charity, how one should do the charity without any false ego, without any pride, always be humble mood. We should give the charity. So it's very, very nice, Prabhuji. I don't have any question, but how you get all this knowledge, I don't understand. So deeply you make give the narration like that and make us understand like that.
Na mama. It is not mine. It's the acharyas. We just read and we just speak whatever they have spoken. In fact, not even a good speaker. In fact, a parrot would be better. But just by reading and Krishna's mercy, in fact, the only fact I would say is that there's so much to be said, so much to be read, so many scriptures to read, so many meanings to read. The only thing that one should always think about is that one lifetime is not enough.
Yes, Prabhuji, you're right.
One lifetime is not enough. So much of glories of the Lord has to be spoken, given to others, and we are unable to give. Time is so limited.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Very,
Thank you,
very
ma'am.
grateful to you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji, for your kind words. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Oh, gosh. Hare Krishna.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Prabhu, again for accepting our invitation to speak and being there on the call for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji.
We
Hare
can
Krishna.
Vamsa kalpataru vyasya kripa sindhu bheva
Tanam
Patitanam
Dev
pavanebhyo.
Krishna Vedya Namah.
Ki Jai Shri La Prabhupada.
Jai.
Jai.
His Grace Haridas Varya Prabhu Ki Jai.
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 Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhu. Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Beautiful class. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.